we have come to learn. Marriage is not even supposed to be the vehicle through which you are made happy. It's not supposed to make you happy. It's supposed to expand your consciousness.
Yeah.
Relationship is. That's the purpose of relationship, is to provide, almost like, I view it as like a laboratory where you're able to conduct experiments, so to speak, or like figure out what works, what doesn't, and go through this constant evolutionary process that expands you and grows you and evolves you into the person you are intended to be, into the person that you were created to be, into the person that you've always been, actually, but that perhaps due to your wounding and your trauma and the environment in which you were raised, the people by whom you were raised, all of that kind of causes some fracturing, some separation from your true self.
Free to be me, free to sing sweet feathers and let me like a hug.
So much of our lives are shaped by scripts we never consciously chose. Patterns around love, success, safety, and belonging. And at some point, those scripts stop working. What once protected us starts to limit us. Safe to be Seen is a space for honest conversations about that moment, when your body knows it's time for something new. We talk about what it means to build safety first, so growth, intimacy, and expansion don't come at the cost of yourself. This podcast is about updating outdated identities, softening survival patterns, and learning how to stay present through change. We're Darcy and Brandon, and this is Safe to be Seen. Hey, Darce. It's so good to be here again with you.
Yeah. Morning.
Good morning. We had a good morning, actually. Did our early morning workout and made breakfast for the kids, got the kids off to school, and now we are doing one of the things that we love the most. We are excited about today's episode. We're going to talk a little bit about relationship being February and Valentine's Day being fast approaching. We are excited to talk about romantic relationship, marriage. We want to specifically talk about the evolution of our relationship, our marriage, and basically talk a lot about how marriage is oftentimes viewed as a vehicle or a means by which one is made happy, fulfilled, whole, enough through the other partner. And how we, in our experience, learned that romantic relationship and marriage are actually much, much different than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And, relationships are obviously such a hot topic, and people spend incredible amounts of time and money on marriage counseling and books and podcasts and trying to, have the most fulfilling, connecting, alive relationship. And I think I was reading this morning that said somewhere that the statistics for first marriages, 40% of them end in divorce. And we want to tell our story today as a way, hopefully, to be a mirror for other couples so that they can maybe recognize maybe similar patterns or ways that they were showing up or are showing up currently that are adding to the disconnection in their relationship, and how to move through that, and how to reconnect, and how to find basically safety, probably maybe for the first time with each other.
Yeah.
That you were maybe fully aware of which was causing the disconnection in your marriage. So we'll just tell our story, but we'll offer tools and steps and dynamics that you can create, mainly first within yourself, and then co-regulating skills that you can incorporate to help, that's the second half of marriage. And also, like, you did a post. You want to talk about this post that Brandon did about second half of our marriage went viral, has like how many views? Over 1 million views.
Yeah, I think it's like 1.5 million views right now.
Yeah, it touched it touched a lot of people. Obviously, this is something that people are really relating to and wanting to have help with and want in their marriages, because I think most marriages, people truly love each other, but it takes so much more than love to sustain a relationship. And in that's why we've decided to start offering, we're going to start doing more couples retreats called More Than Love.
Yeah.
Because we want to be able to offer hope for couples who maybe feel stuck, who don't know how to find that aliveness again, to connect, who don't know how to do proper rupture and repair, who don't fully understand what is really going on beneath the surface of why your marriage isn't feeling alive. So we're excited to offer more of those this year. Our first one is going to be in New Zealand.
Yeah.
At the end of March, we have an incredible opportunity to host a retreat there. So we'll put a link in the show notes to our More Than Love page, and we'll update that as we announce new retreat locations.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll be a fun conversation today. I hope that it can bring hope to couples who are feeling like really lost and really scared and really alone and don't know what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, we were honored to be invited to speak at a healing conference in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
End of March. That's what initiated the creation of our retreat. When we were invited to go speak at this conference, we thought, well, we're going all the way to New Zealand. Let's also host a couples retreat. So we're going to do a 2-day retreat there at a nice hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taking our 2 teenagers and we're going to make a vacation out of it. It's going to be amazing. We're so excited. Yeah, it's always been on our bucket list for somewhere to visit. And so super, super grateful to be able to see the world by telling our story, by hopefully offering, like you said, hope and some very useful, real, practical tools and practices and things that couples can do to connect on a deeper level, and to really see each other and to create really, really beautiful and profound intimacy and connection. So
yeah, because it's so possible.
Yeah, for sure. So Darcy, we were married young. You were 19.
Almost 20.
You always like to say you were almost 20 because
I was basically 20.
3 weeks away from your 20th birthday, but you were a teenager.
Yeah,
you were a baby. I was 21. And looking back now, obviously we had no idea what we were doing.
No.
But that's okay. We've had a beautiful relationship and a beautiful marriage. We, I think, safe to say, we certainly were not and are not exempt or immune from challenges and problems and the ongoing cycles and processes of disconnection, reconnection, rupture, repair. But what we want to really talk about in today's episode is specifically like what changed, what brought about the change. Because I think that our marriage was good. We've always deeply loved each other. We have 5 beautiful children together. We've created a beautiful life together. Um, we, having been married so young and having just the way that our life's journey, our path was, being devout members of the Mormon Church, all of these factors, the way that we were raised, the locations in which we were raised, all these factors go into the creation of your relationship based on your beliefs, based on what you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy and it's so cliche, I know, but you don't know what you don't know. And so we just jumped in. We kind of fell in line, so to speak, and did what we were expected to do and did what all we knew to do.
Yeah. I think the first half of marriages are really based upon roles.
Yeah.
And, you're starting careers together, you're raising kids together. It's like you're just starting something new and you're working towards something bigger. Like after we get through school, we're going to get into a house and you're like working toward these goals that you have together and that there can be beauty in that. There can be a lot of that, but I feel like a lot of the first half of marriage is really based upon like roles and like reaching a certain destination and creating goals together and reaching those goals. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you get to just similar like midlife crisis. It's like second half of marriage crisis where it's like, okay, these patterns that we have been organizing our marriage around is no longer working.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically come to a point to where you say, I'm no longer willing to choose attachment over authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Like your body starts sending lots of signals to you. Your relational dynamics, the ways that things are functioning maybe are no longer working.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer tolerable. And I think we got to a place to where we were both going through individual awakenings, spiritual, like everything was kind of like falling apart at one time, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
for each of us individually. And that the byproduct of that, it was that we had to face a lot of difficult things in our marriage that we hadn't felt safe enough to fully be seen
Yeah.
with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where a lot of marriages end.
Yeah.
It's too difficult, because what we didn't know at the time, what we do now is that we were just expanding.
Yeah.
Like our consciousness was expanding. Expansion hurts.
Yeah.
Expansion is uncomfortable. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Growth is hard.
Yeah.
And we were both going through that individually. And that's what was happening is our consciousness was expanding in our marriage. In order to survive, this entity of our marriage needed to expand with that.
Yeah.
And we were able to find a way to like breathe and move and connect through those contractions
Mm-hmm.
that we were experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't easy. Like, if you think that marriage is supposed to be easy, then I think you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Oh yeah. Well, not
It's
only
work.
not only is marriage not supposed to be easy, but marriage, what we have come to learn, marriage is not even supposed to be the vehicle through which you are made happy. It's not supposed to make you happy. It's supposed to expand your consciousness.
Yeah.
Relationship is. That's the purpose of relationship, is to provide, almost like, I view it as like a laboratory where you're able to conduct experiments, so to speak, or like figure out what works, what doesn't, and go through this constant evolutionary process that expands you and grows you and evolves you
Mm-hmm.
into the person you are intended to be, into the person that you were created to be, into the person that you've always been, actually, but that perhaps due to your wounding and your trauma and the environment in which you were raised, the people by whom you were raised, all of that kind of causes some fracturing, some separation from your true self
Mm-hmm.
as you start to incorporate into your, what you might call your personality,
Yeah.
adaptations for survival. And you carry all of that into your marriage. And there's a lot of projecting that goes on
Mm-hmm.
in marriage, where you project onto your partner unmet needs of your own.
Yeah.
You know, whether you didn't get certain things or love or attention or being seen by your parents
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case may be, you carry that into your marriage and then you totally just throw that on your partner unconsciously in most cases,
Mm-hmm.
expecting them to fulfill what you never got, to give you what you never got.
And most of that's done unconsciously.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to name here, like, kind of dismantle some of the myths around marriage and what's really happening. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, because we are struggling right now, it must mean we don't love each other, or you know, we're fighting this, like, we must not have like the right dynamic or like, you know, connection between us, or the what's the word I'm looking for, the spark, the chemistry,
Mm.
because we get in arguments. You know, I think we compare a lot with people, that other marriages that we may see. We compare and think that's how we should be. That So we must not have a very good marriage.
Mhm.
Like, we must not be meant to be together. When there's so much underneath the surface that you are totally unaware of that is contributing to the disconnection in your marriage. And it's like you mentioned, when you marry somebody, you are relating to them in the same way that you learned to relate with the way that you first connected with the very first people in your life,
Yeah.
which is your parents. And you are going to take those same ways that you learned to connect and protect in your relationship with your parents. You're taking that into your marriage, because that's all your nervous system knows. When you get into a relationship with somebody in your adult year, or whenever in your adult years, your nervous system is going to go, okay, what does this remind me of the most? When I'm in a relationship with somebody where I need to be vulnerable, I need to share truths with them. They're the person that I go to when I'm struggling. They're the person that I go to when I'm afraid, that I want to share my joys, my sorrows with. Your nervous system goes, okay, what is most familiar about this? And it's going to go to your first relational connections, which was with your parents, and what that dynamic was like. And if vulnerability wasn't safe, then being vulnerable in your marriage is not going to feel safe. And this is where a lot of, like, this is what I'm talking about, beneath the surface, the invisible things that we just blame our partner on, of like, he never wants to connect with me. He's not vulnerable enough. Why can't he share his emotions with me? And we just project, and we get mad, and we get defensive. When you do your inner work and you build up enough capacity within yourself to hold your own sensations and emotional range, then you can understand, maybe, oh, you know, maybe with him growing up, vulnerability wasn't safe with his parents. He actually never learned how to be vulnerable in a safe way. So how am I expect him to know how to do that now?
Hmm.
You know, it's like we're expecting things from our partners that is just impossible, you know? And so yeah, your marriage is going to reflect those your first experiences with your caregivers and the way that you connected with them and the way that you found safety inside that dynamic. Now, obviously, romantic relationships are completely different, but that's what you're trying to teach your nervous system in your marriage.
Yeah.
This is not that. This is this now. And we can work together in a different way now. But it's all boils down to safety. Safety in connection, safety in how vulnerable you can feel with somebody else, how you were taught how to handle discomfort, and like when there was ruptures in your home growing up, how was that handled? You're going to take that into your marriage,
Yeah.
you know? So we got to a point to where we became very familiar with our patterns and familiar with our individual nervous systems and what was actually happening, you know? I was an avoidant. I did not like uncomfortable conversations. I did not like when we got in arguments. And so I would avoid, I would deflect, I would just say, I'm sorry, let's just move on. But that's not repair, you know? I had a secure attachment with my parents. So I do feel like I came in with like that sense of security with inside of myself. But my nervous system resources and freeze. And so when I would experience, when we would get in arguments or fights, like I would freeze. And I didn't know how to like move out of that. And so that was something I had to become very familiar with about myself. And I needed to basically find safety with inside of myself first, before then I could properly repair with you in a way that felt safe. You know, you were stuck in fight and flight for many years, you know, and so that was that was your resource.
Yeah.
Was resourcing into fight or flight. And it was just these things about each other that like we knew how we were both showing up, but we would get mad and defensive about it, not understanding like why we were the way that we were. There's so much underneath the surface there. And when we could come to a place where we both felt safe with inside of ourselves first, to then be able to be open and honest and very clear about these things, it naturally led to a deeper connection because we were seeing each other in a way that we had never saw each other before.
Yeah. That's wild, isn't it? That whole process of, love is so interesting because it's like you can only love someone else at the depth that you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You will never have a better relationship with anyone else than you have with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so love actually is like this. It's not like this black or white, you got it or you don't. It's like this gradient.
Yes.
That hopefully throughout your life is like expanding, and you're like learning how to love more purely, less conditionally, with less expectations. But I know, man, early on in our really, I mean, we've been married 25 years, going on 26. I mean, for 22, 23 years of our marriage, I was just so unaware that I was needing you to be a certain way for me to be okay.
Yeah.
And of course, that's codependency. That's not love. Now, I did love you, but I only loved you. This is what I'm getting at. The wild thing is to know how much I loved you, but then to see like in the rearview mirror how much that love has grown. And to see like, oh, I thought it's like there's this, I can't think of the musician right now, but there's this country song that says, I thought I loved you then. Like when that love expands into something that doesn't need you to be any certain way, that doesn't expect anything, that has no conditions, And I'm not saying that I've arrived there, but I'm saying there's been a big evolution for me in regards to what I thought love was to what I now know it to be.
Yeah.
And that you alluded to just a minute ago, Darcy, is completely based on the work I have done with myself. Because when before you mentioned me being in fight or flight, also I'll add being so rigidly glued to my roles
Mm-hmm.
within the church, within society, my role as a provider. You know, I'm here just basically to pay for things. Like anything else is like just a cherry on top, just icing on the cake. But basically, I'm here to make sure that everyone has a roof over their head, clothes on their back, food on the table. We go on a few nice vacations every once in a while, and I'm I'm gonna work. I work hard to provide for my family. But that's in all of that, I was absent a lot. You know, I was not present a lot. I was disconnected from myself, from my body, from my truth, from my mission, and therefore disconnected from everything and everyone else, especially those most important to me. And so, yeah, today we just want to talk a little bit about our own experience in how we have evolved. But I just wanted to touch on a couple things before we jump into what you and I did ceremonially a couple of years ago. But, you know, one is Darcy, the portrayal of romantic relationship and or marriage by the media, you know, music, movie, internet, pornography, even anything media is always it always seems to be giving us the message that your partner needs to make you whole. Like you without your partner, without them, and not only without them, but without them being the way you need them to be, you're not going to be okay. And that was just that's just so prolific in the media.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, I'd like to speak a little bit more about codependency, which is what that is and
Yeah.
what codependency really is. It's you asking your partner to meet your unmet needs, your unresolved wounds from your childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And codependency can look like having to track their location 24/7, controlling like money, controlling who, controlling their hobbies, making them feel guilty if like they want to go do a hobby that they enjoy, but you're making them feel guilty about like not spending more time with you. Codependency can look like feeling responsible for saving them if they're in a bad situation, as far as like mentally or emotionally, like feeling like you have to be their rescuer, you have to make everything right. And codependency is a really, I see a lot and so many unhealthy dynamics with that where both couples don't know how to like make their way out of it, you know? Because again, I think they love each other, but it's like these dynamics are creating a lot of disconnection and fear and rupture
Yeah.
unnecessarily. And if you're, it boils down to like your attachment style. You know, if you have an anxious attachment, if you have a disorganized attachment, then you're going to find really codependent behaviors in relationship. And that's not up to your partner to take care of for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's up that's basically you needing to reparent your younger self.
Yeah.
Your spouse is not expected to be your parent and to meet those needs that you didn't get when you were a child. The only person that can do that is you. You have to reparent yourself.
Yeah.
You have to discover wholeness feels like inside of yourself. That's not to say that we don't have needs in relationship, we do, but it's to say that what you just spoke to earlier, that if this relationship failed, if it didn't work out, would you be okay? Can you honestly say that? Would I be okay? If not, that means you have some codependent tendencies. If you can't survive on your own, you have to have that partner or you're just not going to make it. That's you reaching for them out of fear, out of survival, to make that you want them to make you feel whole.
Yeah. So what we're basically calling love in such a state at a level of consciousness that you just described, where you have this codependence, you have this lack of safety within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say it's like, we call it love, but actually what it is it's a Band-Aid to put over the wounds of your childhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get so, and I know this happens with boys, with males and females, but I work primarily with females, and I just see a lot of these unhealthy codependency behaviors in relationship, and I see a lot of women not having enough safety within inside themselves to be able to create that boundary of no, this is not acceptable. Of men trying to like say to their boys trying to say to their girlfriends, you can't wear a bikini if I'm not around you. Or you can't go to this place, or you can't go here. Like, so controlling. And I know that goes both ways. Yeah. But that's codependency. And that is a reflection of your partner wanting to control in order for them to find safety within inside of themselves. It all boils down to the state of your nervous system.
It all does. It all comes back to safety, and which is why the work you do is so important. Because you literally have to, with your nervous system, if we want to keep it really simple, just for the purposes of this episode, we won't get into that. But if your nervous system is like the electrical grid of your being, which takes in all this information, all this sensory input from your surroundings and processes all your emotions and everything, if you need to understand that needs to be completely rewired.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of intention, a lot of energy, but it also takes, I believe, the need for someone to who is an expert like yourself to help.
Yeah, I think
in that process.
Yeah, I think if you're at a place in your relationship where it's like, this is beyond like just me and you, of having somebody to be able to help you recognize what your patterns are, the root of why those patterns are there, and how to find connection and how to find safety again, not only within yourself, but with each other again. Yeah. And, you're not viewing your relationship through the lens of like reality.
Yeah.
You're viewing it through the lens of your nervous system, which means your nervous system is in charge of like your perception. So you're perceiving your relational dynamic only through the lens of your own nervous system. Mm-hmm. And when you rewire that and you expand, because that's what rewiring is. When you rewire your nervous system, you are expanding your body for your consciousness to expand. And it's an amazing, incredible thing about our bodies and about neuroplasticity and like the ability we literally have to become new people and to change. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. But it is difficult and it's going to be uncomfortable. And it's going to require a lot of consistent daily practices to rewire yourself. Yeah. But along the lines with codependency is I want to speak about boundaries. If your partner does not like you having boundaries, it's because they're benefiting from your self-abandonment. And it all comes back to them, a lack of finding safety within inside of themselves. Every relationship needs boundaries. Like, there are just some things I will not tolerate. And if your partner cannot respect those boundaries, then they're benefiting from your self-abandonment. And it goes back to their own level of safety within inside of themselves. So I think boundaries are really important to have. And, you know, you and I, we didn't have boundaries before.
No, we didn't even know what
We
boundaries
didn't know
were.
what boundaries were.
And let's define a boundary. A boundary is a way by which a person is able to love themselves
Mm-hmm.
and the other person
Yep.
simultaneously. Because again, love is not supposed to be something that requires self-sacrificing
Mm-hmm.
or self-abandonment. It's not supposed to.
Mm-mm.
Yes, it is a give and take, but that doesn't mean you have to self-abandon. And so boundaries allow for space where you can give the love you need to give to yourself
Mm-hmm.
as well as to the other person. And then, in addition to that, maybe, I don't know how you feel about verbiage, but maybe it's just a type of boundary, but when we talk about non-negotiables, is that what you would consider just a type of, like, that's a boundary, or is that stronger than a boundary, or is that like,
Yeah, I mean, I think that non-negotiables could maybe be a little bit stronger.
What did
than
you say?
about non-negotiables. What did I say first
I
of
had
all?
to call you out on that because
What
sometimes
did I say?
we say funny things, and I think after last episode you said gestures.
Okay.
And I said, after the episode, I said, babe, I guess guys, do you say gestures or gestures? And you go, I go, because you said gestures. And you said, and I didn't, you were like, why don't you call me out on it? And
Oh.
anyway,
Yeah, if our listeners have listened to all of our episodes now, they probably pick up on a lot of things that I don't say the right way. It's one of my things.
it's what's amazing about, one of the things that I love about you is your quirkiness. And you just kind of say your own little version of some like really famous, well-known saying. You have your own twist on it. And it's like so different, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, thank you. At least you do. That's all that matters. Anyways, where were we going?
Well, we were just talking about non-negotiables. Like in a relationship, we see, like you said, we didn't have boundaries either or non-negotiables, but we do now.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of marriages and relationships where there are no boundaries, there are no non-negotiables, and we lived like that too. And it's like, no, you have to understand that, like, this is not a situation where you just let whatever happen and you're just gonna stay around.
Mhm.
No, like, that's not love.
Mhm.
Because again, love is like, you cannot love someone more than you love yourself, and you have to love yourself.
Yeah, because
It's not selfishness.
it's not. If you don't love yourself, you're going to tolerate a lot of bad behavior.
Yeah,
And that's not your partner's problem, that's yours.
yeah,
Because you did not make those boundaries and keep them.
yeah.
It is such an act of self-love.
And I don't, the purpose of this podcast is not to get into religion necessarily or, anything. But the fact is like a huge part of our story is that we were Mormon. And at least our understanding of things was within that world of Mormonism, it did not help because it created this, like, again, you talk about roles. Whew. The roles that we believed we each had.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about, like, I need you, you need me, like, for our exaltation, our salvation, our, like, eternal progression. Like, it's like, it was like this contractual, obligatory, covenant binding, like, dynamic where it was like, in order for me to get to where I'm going, I need you. And I need you to be a certain way.
Yeah.
It's
There's a lot of
crazy.
unhealthy enmeshment. It's really hard to be sovereign. I've said this before. But it's really hard to be sovereign and also belong to a very rigid religious structure that defines individuality for you.
Yeah.
And that also instills a lot of fear in you that if you are not a certain way, you will not be together forever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had that going on for us for sure. And so I think it's important to name here. I wrote down some common like survival patterns that erode connection in marriage, just so like our listeners can maybe have a better understanding. Like what are you talking about? A pattern, you know?
Yeah, because again, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know.
And we could have heard a podcast like this 10, 15 years ago, and it just right over our head because we didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know that like there was a real problem. We just thought that we were just doing the thing the way it's done. And like,
Yeah.
that's where sorry to interrupt you, but before you start, Darce, I just want to put this little plug in right now for our listeners. And that is again, it's not that we had a bad marriage. It's my God, we had no idea how good it could be.
Yeah.
Like,
it could be so good. It can be so good.
Yeah.
Okay, so common survival adaptations in marriage, okay? These are not to bring shame, just to bring clarity, okay? People pleasing, like keeping the peace to stay safe. People pleasing is an adaptation that you learned when you were a child in order to maintain connection.
Yeah.
It was safer for you to meet the needs of other people. Maybe you didn't feel safe expressing your voice. Maybe there was a lot going on in your family and you didn't want to add to that. So you tried to make everybody comfortable.
Or you just
kept quiet.
kept quiet.
Yeah.
You shut your voice down.
Yeah. Withdrawal. Like if you are in a relationship with somebody and things get uncomfortable and you shut down, you just completely withdraw, okay? That's you protecting yourself from overwhelm.
Mm-hmm. Which, sorry,
No, please.
I just want to emphasize here that these are brilliant adaptations for survival. The number one role of your nervous system is to keep you safe, to keep you protected, and to help you survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it creates all these ways to keep you safe. The problem is it shuts down your potential for growth, evolution, expansion, and like becoming the best version of you. Because when you're in a state of protection and survival, you cannot thrive. You cannot feel fully alive.
Mm-mm.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, when you're growing up, your nervous system's number one job is to keep you safe. So it's constantly scanning for how do I find safety and how do I find connection.
Mm-hmm.
And it will brilliantly go through extremes to be able to make that happen. Even if that means you shut down part of yourself in order to maintain connection.
Mm-hmm.
You do things that your body adapts unconsciously for you to maintain survival and connection and safety. And then you carry those patterns into your adult years and your adult relationships, and you will continue to carry those until you rewire them.
Yeah.
So the next one is control and perfectionism. And what you're doing there is you're preventing disappointment. So if you grew up in a home where, your parents only paid attention to you or only gave you love if you performed a certain way, if you acted a certain way, if you got good grades, if you were like the best athlete, that's, see how brilliant that is of your nervous system? Oh, I need to be perfect in order to maintain connection with these people who I'm basing my survival off of. Oh, I can do that. That doesn't just leave in your childhood years. That comes with you into your adulthood years. And I know I touched on a soft spot for you there, honey. Yeah. And that was something we were just unaware of. We just thought he's just a hard worker. He likes to get everything right. And like, there are some incredible things about that, but it completely burnt you out. And
it made me hard to live with. Let's just be honest. I'm sorry.
Honey, it's okay. I had my own things for sure, Next one, humor, intellect. I feel like this was a part of me too, to avoid vulnerability.
You are funny.
I am naturally funny.
And very smart.
But yeah, vulnerability was not easy for me.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've had to rewire. Sexual shutdown, like the body protecting you against pressure. And there can be lots of causes for sexual shutdown, but we're just naming patterns here. And then emotional self-reliance. Like, I won't need you, so I won't be hurt. You know, this
Like hyper independence.
hyper independence, you know, like I'll just do everything on my own.
Yeah.
Because maybe growing up, that's how you maintain connection. That's how you maintain survival. If your parents weren't emotionally or physically available for you, in order to survive, you had to learn to become really hyper independent and take care of yourself.
Or I think maybe if you got burned a lot, or you got hurt a lot,
Yeah.
you're just like, you know what? I'm just gonna take care of myself, and I don't care about anybody else.
Yeah.
No.
So these patterns once kept love intact, but they're actually keeping intimacy out
Mm-hmm.
because they're not keeping you connected. Okay. And so if you're at a point in your relationship where things are boiling and you're noticing these things and you're becoming aware of your patterns and the ways that you're self-protecting and the ways that you're unconsciously, but now you're conscious of reaching to your partner to have them make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then what do we do from there? Well, we talked about this. You need to heal yourself first. We always go back to that, but it always comes back to you. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and take incredible, radical responsibility for the way in which you have shown up and reparent yourself and rewire yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can show up in your marriage in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And then leave it to your partner to do the same. Don't do their work for them.
Mm-hmm.
You show up as an empathetic witness to their human experience, and hopefully they will offer the same to you.
Yeah. And not to say that it's easy, but that's where boundaries come in, or non-negotiables, where when you realize, okay, I've got to take accountability for my role in this,
Mm-hmm.
the way this relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to decide, what if my partner doesn't? What if my partner never does the work, never takes accountability, always keeps projecting, blaming, pointing fingers? You have to come up in your heart. You have to have made a decision if that's okay with you. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I think this is a good time to speak, Darcy, to the fact that a marriage can be significantly threatened by individuation. Individuation meaning just like the constant, never-ending process of evolving and becoming who you were created to be, like your best self.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe that, you know, life can have many purposes, but maybe that's one of them, to evolve and grow and learn and become who you were, like become your fullest potential, individuation. A marriage can be threatened by that, because if only one of the partners wants to or is individuating, evolving, growing, expanding, and the other is not, that's very challenging. And vice versa, individuation, which we believe to be like one of the main purposes that we're here on this earth, in these bodies, living this life, can be significantly threatened by relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because within that container of relationship, marriage, whatever it is, with all these projections, this unconscious projecting, pointing, blaming, needing, codependency, that doesn't allow for individuation. It keeps you stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you in the same cycles and patterns indefinitely, until it doesn't. And in our story, as alluded to already previously, our transformation of our marriage, of our relationship, the incredibly beautiful connection and intimacy that we now share. It didn't happen by us, pulling up a chair, sitting across from each other and saying, "Hey, we got to make some changes here." Like, in other words, not just by talking about it. It came through that life that we had built. We'll call it the first half of life. That's fine. The first half of life, the purpose of it is to create identity, to to basically become someone, whether that's, you become a parent, you become a doctor, a lawyer, a plumber, whatever your career is, you become all these things. And it's in the unbecoming, it's in the shedding of all those adaptations for survival and protection that you have accumulated throughout your first half of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the crumbling of that first half of life and who you thought you were that something new can emerge. I like you've used before the analogy of, like, the only way for beautiful, new, fresh saplings to emerge out of a forest floor, one of the best ways, most efficient, prolific ways, is if the forest burns down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then the new can grow in. And in our own story, it's no different. What stimulated our relational transformation was our own personal transformation.
Exactly.
Like, I had been going through years of severe depression, burnout, exhaustion, but also I was going through a faith transition. It felt like everything around me was just falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't speak for you. You can speak to your experience, but basically, when we entered into that Mormon Temple Covenant marriage at 19 and 21, we essentially were making a deal of, we've already alluded to this, but like, hey, you've got these roles, I've got these roles, you need to be this way, I need to be this way. And if we do that, if we make this deal, then everything will be okay. And there comes a point where that deal just falls apart. It just falls apart. And that provides the space for something new to emerge. This is the point at which you mentioned earlier, a lot of times relationships fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
Divorce, breakup. There's no shame. We are not here to say that you should never get a divorce or you should never, break up or leave your partner. There's several reasons that you should.
Yeah.
But what we're saying is, if you love each other and you want to make it work, both partners are willing to do the work, we just want to offer hope.
Yeah.
That it can happen.
Yeah.
And so there came a point, I remember the exact moment when, with all of the difficult things that we were going through individually in our faith journey, in things related to basically us just pedal to the metal. Like our nervous systems were just fried, and we didn't know it at the time, but it was like I remember a conversation we had where you basically, you probably wouldn't put it this way, but I heard it as kind of you drawing a line in the sand of being like, I'm not living like this anymore. Like basically you said, you expressed to me that you didn't feel safe because of the way that I was. And finally it was like, I got it. And it wasn't that by saying I got it, like a flip switched and like everything was hunky-dory after that. That's not what I'm saying, but it was like finally I realized that the way I was, perfectionist, hypervigilant, needing you to be a certain way for me to be okay, codependency type stuff that we talked about. And then, just like some natural disappointments and frustrations from things looking and being a lot different than what I expected, which is normal. But like, anyway, I just remember you expressing to me that like, you didn't feel completely safe. And therefore, not feeling completely safe, you couldn't fully be what you knew you could be in this relationship. Essentially, what I heard was, hey, look, Brandon, it's like you're trying to like force me to love you a certain way. And if you only realized that if you just let me love you the way I want to love you, it's a lot better. I remember that so clearly.
Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to have a lot of honest conversations with each other. It was like we were finally letting our truth come out that we had been suppressing for a long time, both of us. And we got to rock bottom, but we were able to build something new and better and more beautiful and more sustainable.
Yeah.
So much more than love.
Yeah.
And I just want to offer, because I want to offer tools and tangible things that people can actually start working on. And I just want to give an example of like, if you're an avoidant, if emotional connection hasn't always felt safe for you, if that's something that you're trying to rewire, okay, in order to rewire a pattern, you have to do opposite of that pattern in a safe way. You have to create the conditions for safety. You have to create the conditions for connection, okay? And when you're aware of each other's survival patterns, not from a place of judgment, but of understanding of, okay, that makes sense based upon that earlier experience that you had in your life. That makes sense about why you are the way that you are. How can we work together to help create the conditions of connection with the inside of our marriage? So what that looked like for us is I started being more vulnerable with you. Tiny steps, tiny micro steps of sharing vulnerability with you, connecting with myself, and doing that repetitively over and over and over again until it just became the natural state. Okay? If you withdraw, what was one of those other patterns that we put on there?
Pleasing or
Yeah, people pleasing.
down.
People pleasing. Okay, if you are a people pleaser and you feel like you have to come to the rescue, you're going to have experiences where you feel safe saying no. And if you don't feel safe right away saying it to your partner or to a friend, practice in the mirror and feel what that feels like in your body. Embody that. Okay, so much of repatterning is you have to sit with the discomfort of the sensations in your body and feel those sensations before you react. Like feel how uncomfortable that is for you to say no, no to somebody. Feel it.
Yeah.
And breathe. And then respond in a different way. And you have to repeatedly do that over and over and over again until it becomes the new familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what repatterning looks like. It looks like doing the opposite of what you did before in very gentle yet consistent ways, because you're teaching your nervous system a new way of being.
Yeah.
And it's going to feel incredibly uncomfortable and unfamiliar. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It means that your body's repatterning. It's learning to come up in the world in a new way. And that's what brought us, that's what brought us closer connection to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because we started showing up differently with each other.
But we had to create that safety within ourselves first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was not an overnight process.
No. And I think it's important to touch on a little bit about how to do proper rupture and repair, because I want to leave our audience with some tools, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When you are in a rupture, you're basically, you've come to a point, a disagreement about something, which happens all the time. It's normal. There's nothing actually wrong with getting in a disagreement. It's okay. I think the sign of a healthy couple is how quickly you can repair.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that if you're activated, you're dysregulated, you're frustrated, that is not the time to make meaning or to make sense out of the experience. Like, calm yourself down, get to a place to where you can actually see things for what they really are. Because when you're dysregulated, your prefrontal cortex shuts down, you're not thinking rationally, you're only in self-protection.
And can I just add, and you're literally, from a nervous system lens, hijacked by your younger self.
Yep.
You have to know that in those moments of dysregulation, of activation, it's so hard in the moment, but you have to know in that moment you are like your 6-year-old, 7-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
That feels abandoned, betrayed, rejected, not enough.
Yeah.
And so you protect.
Yeah.
You put your armor on, especially around your heart. And it's not a pretty sight,
Yeah.
as we know.
Yeah.
We've had so many.
Yeah, we had.
So many. We've rolled around in the hay a time or two.
Yeah. So what has this looked like for us? It might mean, hey, babe, I really want to repair with you right now. I love you, but I need to go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need some time alone first. I'll come back to you, I promise. We're going to work this out, but I need to get myself in a place where I can actually communicate to you from my adult self, not from my little kid self.
Yeah.
So become aware of when you're getting too activated. Just stop. It's okay. It doesn't have to be repaired right that second.
Mm-hmm.
Give some time for you guys to calm down, come back to yourself, whatever you need to utilize, breath, exercise, going for a walk, whatever you need to do. And then come back. Try to hold hands if you can.
Look in each other's eyes.
Look.
There's a lot of things. Can I just add, like, being a little bit vulnerable here? That was a hard one for me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of let's calm down. Let's give each other some space. We'll take care of this later.
Yeah, you wanted to repair.
Right.
Right.
Now. Like, I gotta have it fixed right now.
I know, and I was like, I can't do that. I don't work
So
like that.
we, for several months while we were working through all this stuff, we were like, because I'm like, no, well, let's fix it. And I didn't realize that, like, in my activated state, there was no fixing anything.
Yeah. And
So-
also, I just want to make mention here, what is the story that you are telling yourself when you get in a fight?
Mm.
What is, when your spouse does something wrong, let's say they get home late from work. They're not there on time for dinner. And you make up all these stories in your head. Oh, they were putting this before me, or they stayed after to talk to a friend, which means they don't care about me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the story that you're telling yourself? It's probably not accurate, but yet you're getting yourself so worked up over something that's probably not true.
And again, it goes back to the state of your nervous system.
Yeah.
Like, what does your nervous system think that this is most like? Oh, it's most like the time when you were 10 years old in 4th grade and your friends turned on you and betrayed you at recess.
Mhm. I know people are the listeners are probably thinking it's not that deep. No, it really
No,
is.
it really is.
Like,
me.
that's really what's happening.
Yeah.
So in that case, like, drop the story. Just feel the discomfort inside of your body. Breathe. Maybe if you have to tell a story, tell a positive one. Oh, maybe they must have got stuck in traffic or whatever it is. Like, don't assume the worst about your
Yeah.
partner. Okay?
Yeah.
There's things that happen the full spectrum that you may not be aware of. And in the meantime, you're getting yourself so worked up that by the time they get home, you already hate them before you even know what happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself about the situation. And then don't just like say you're sorry and walk away when you're still feeling not safe. That's not repair. Actual repair work is when you can both connect and come back to safety and come back to connection. For so many years, we would just say we were sorry and then move on and not talk to each other for 3 days. That's not repair. That's just avoiding the discomfort inside of your own body
Yeah.
and not having the capacity to be able to do that. And with that, I would say taking radical responsibility and accountability for how you showed up without shame.
Yeah.
If you shame yourself when you do something hurtful to your partner, that's only going to lead to further dysregulation and further defensiveness and self-protection. Okay? We make mistakes. It's okay to be accountable for those mistakes, to genuinely and sincerely say that you're sorry without shame.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to add is that when you're in a regulated state, we call it our ventral vagal regulated state, where you feel safe, you feel it's your flow state, it's your rest and digest state. It's the state where you experience connection, you experience clarity, you experience curiosity. Okay? That's the state that you want to repair in, because then you can actually be curious about each other's experience instead of protective. And it's also in that state where I invite you to think about how you really do feel about your partner, in your relationship, whether it's your spouse or whatever dynamic you're in. Because when you're in that type of a state, the things that like maybe annoy you about them aren't so annoying. You kind of just find them endearing.
Yeah.
Take time to really think about how you really feel, what you feel about your spouse, your partner, when you're in like a calm, connected, regular state. Things just really aren't that big of a deal. And you get to, you see them with more clarity and for who they really are. Like there's certain times in the month when I'm like, depending on my cycle, and like you come in and eat a bowl of cereal late at night and like, I want to wring your head off.
I don't eat cereal.
I know, whatever it is now, whatever you're munching on late at night.
It's fruit.
But then at other times when I'm like feeling connected and I'm in my regulated state, I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of adorable that he does that. So just give yourself opportunities for that, to see your partner in a light that maybe you're not seeing them in. And lastly, I just want to add, be your partner's biggest fan. You've got to be their biggest fan.
You have no reason being a partner if you're not their biggest fan. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least be their biggest fan. Why are you not cheering them on and like
life and in everything? Support them in their hobbies, support them in their career, in the things that they desire to do with their career. Let them individuate, let them be them.
Yeah.
You'll find so much more polarity and attraction in your marriage if you allow for that space for that to happen and grow and develop. Now, like when you're exploring new things or you're coming up with new ideas or talking about new possibilities within yourself, I don't find it as a threat. I'm like, this is exciting. He's expanding, he's growing. And I want that. I want that for you. And I know that you want that for me too. And that's created, like such a big difference in our relationship
Mm.
when we allowed for the evolvement of each other without fear.
Yeah.
If you fear the expansion of your partner, that has nothing to do with your partner. That has everything to do with yourself.
And you have to look at it intimately.
Yep.
You have to look within yourself as to why.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start to uncover that, that's where your work is.
Mm-hmm.
Your fears are your greatest teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So don't push them away. Welcome them.
Yeah.
Look at them right in the eye and say, why are you here?
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you here?
Yeah.
But yeah, so just as we kind of wrap things up, basically when we came to this point where we were both individuating so much, going through a lot individually, of course, all of that, as we've talked about, very strongly impacting our relationship and our dynamics with each other, we decided to ceremonially start over.
Yeah.
And so we went to...
Don't tell them our
I'm
secret
not
spot.
gonna. Heck no. That's our spot. I was gonna say, we went to an undisclosed secret spot that we have where we spent a couple of nights, and we were in nature, and we built a fire, and we had previous to that written down like kind of like all of our old ways. Each of us individually wrote down like our old ways of being
Mm-hmm.
in relationship, and we read those to each other at the fire at night. And then we threw them in the fire
Mm-hmm.
and burned them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we read to each other the ways in which we wanted to go forward
Mm-hmm.
in our relationship. And, you know, I give credit to Esther Perel. She's a world famous relationship and sex expert. She always says, you know, due to the evolution which we should be going through, like that is part of our design, is to evolve and individuate and grow, expand.
Mm-hmm.
Most people should be married several times throughout their life. And then she says, and a lot of times it's to the same person.
Mm.
And that's what we experienced. You know, we knew that like the old was dying. It had to, with how much we were changing.
Mm-hmm.
But that we wanted to stay together. We love each other. We love each other,
Mm-hmm.
despite all the difficulties and things that we've been through. And so, yeah, you know, some second marriages begin without divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on at least our second, maybe third, fourth, fifth, sixth marriage. I don't know, but like ceremonially, that was really beautiful to do.
Yeah. And I think, like, make your marriage a ceremony.
Yeah, your life should be a
Your
ceremony.
life should be
Are
a
you kidding
ceremony,
me?
but like, do these things in your relationship to add to the fire and the flame of this separate entity that you are creating with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And ceremony has so much deep meaning to it. Like our bodies, if you want to come back to like the body and nervous system, our bodies respond to ceremony because it's signaling something is about to change. You know, we have been doing ceremonies since the beginning of time for a reason. Our bodies respond to that, make it special.
Yeah.
Like I went and bought a white dress. I actually wore the headband that I wore on the first day, our first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And we played music, and it was really special.
Yeah.
And rewrite your vows as needed. As you grow and as you evolve and as things change, you're going to change. So your relational dynamics are going to change. Maybe your non-negotiables over time are going to change. Don't be so black and white in your marriage. You have to allow color in there
Mm-hmm.
for it to stay alive. And work on just really seeing each other. And you can't do that unless you see yourself.
Yeah.
So before we close, I wanted to put out an offering that I have available right now because I see so much happening individual and in relationships based upon our patterns. And so I created a 30-day guided meditation series. They're somatic in nature so that you can become more familiar in a safe way with what your patterns are, what your adaptations are, how they were created, and then how you can work to create something new. And patterns don't live in the mind, they live in the body. And that's why I created these meditations with that in mind. They are somatic in nature so that you can create a new experience with inside of yourself to be able to repattern. And when you repattern, reality changes, reality shifts. And so we'll include a link to those in the show notes to help you in your journey of healing, of coming to know yourself better, of rewiring and repatterning. So
Can I just add, as a testimony to your work, to your meditations, that so much of my growth and so many breakthroughs and so much expansion for me was as a result of your guided meditations. So thank you. It's beautiful, beautiful work that these meditations are. So
yeah, you're welcome. We'll close those in the show notes.
yeah. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Talking about one of my favorite topics. So thank you for joining me today and talking about it with me. Always good to be with you.
I hope so. You're married to me.
Oh, I know. I love spending every moment with you, especially doing these podcasts.
Yeah,
Though, is
it's
what
so
I'm
fun.
saying. It's so fun.
It is so fun. I love you. Thanks for going to the fire with me,
Yeah,
babe.
I love you too. Thank you.
Free to be me, free to sing, sweet feathers and let me like